Hello learners, my name is Teacher Jonathan and welcome to EasyElimu Learning Simplified. For our lesson for today, Grade 4 Mathematics, today we will be dealing with data handling. And today we are representing data using tally mark. We are representing data using tally mark. And before we represent this data, I have a question I normally pose for us all. How can you represent data? How can you represent data? And in our previous lesson, we learned how to collect data, record data, and organize data. Collect data, record that data, and organize that data. And we said when we are organizing data, we organize it from the smallest to the largest in that order, ascending order or descending order. And for today, I want us to pair up, and then now we represent this data we have collected using the tally mark. We represent the data that we have collected using the tally mark. And today's data is the shoe size, the size of the shoe we wore or we wear, and the number of learners who wear that shoe. So we have size of the shoe, size of shoe, and the number of shoes that lie in that category. So here we have number of shoes. Number of shoes. The size of the shoe and the number of shoes. This is what we have now as our data. Now we tabulated size 11. How many wear size 11? The number of shoes worn by learners is 2. It's only Victoria and Jane wear size number 11. We also have size number 12. Size number 12 is worn by 4 learners. So we have 4 pair of shoes that are for number 12. Size number 13 is worn by 5 learners. And the last one is size number 14 is worn by 7 learners. Before we continue, learners, I would like you to observe the following. Now, you can tell me what have you observed. How is the data that we have collected and recorded and organized it? That this data is well organized. Remember, we said we can arrange our data from smallest to the largest. From smallest to the largest. Shoe size 11, we have only 2 pairs. So shoe number 14 and number 12, we have 4 pairs. Shoe number 13, we have 5 pairs. And shoe number 14, we have 7 pairs. Now, how can we represent this data using the tally mark? What is a tally mark? Tally mark is represented by a stroke. Tally mark is represented by a stroke. It's represented by a stroke. Represented by a stroke. And this stroke should be vertical like this. That is the tally mark. That is the tally mark. Tally mark is represented by a stroke. Tally mark is represented by a stroke, and we write this stroke in a vertical way. Now, second thing that you should note on this, when the stroke goes up to 4, the fifth stroke crosses the other 4. Crosses the other 4. The fifth one crosses the other 4. That is very key. You should observe. When we are doing the tally mark, we represent by vertical strokes. And the vertical strokes are 4 of them. Then the fifth one we cut across. And this I will do it in our representation here. Remember, we had collected the size of shoe, the number of shoes, the size of shoe, and the number of shoes. Now I want to add a column here for tally mark. I want to add a column here for tally mark. So can we add another column here for tally mark? I write here tally mark. So when we are representing 2 using the tally mark, I will only put vertical strokes. How many of them? Only 2 strokes to represent 2. If I will put 4 strokes, there will be 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are 4 strokes. If I were to represent 5 strokes, remember this concept here. So I will represent here like 1, 2, 3, 4. What about the 5th one? We have said it cuts across. So we put it across like that. It's to mean now they are 5. So who will represent 7 stroke for us? This is how it will be. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one, then 1, 2. And that is 7 strokes. And this representation is using the tally marks. We have already now represented our data using tally mark. And tally mark, I've said, it is in form of vertical strokes. The 5th one will run across. And you continue with others. Now, can we try this? Can we try this in our groups currently? Let us try this in our group. Let us represent the following in our groups. Let us represent this one in our groups. Let me draw this one for you. We have bright, the height of pupils, height of pupils, height of learners. We have the height of learners. In between here, I'll put the tally mark. The tally mark. And the last one is the number of learners. Number of learners. Number of learners. That is my representation. That is the representation that we will use. Now, the height of learners, we have, the height is in centimeters. So we have 142 centimeters, 143 centimeters, 144 centimeters, 150 centimeters. The number of learners, we have 3, we have 4, we have 6, and we have 8. Now, using the tally marks, can you represent these learners? What will you do? Be keen here. I'll only do the first one, then you continue with the following as our task for today. The height of learners in centimeters. Learners who have the height of 142 are 3. So what shall we do in the tally mark column? You only indicate 3 strokes, vertical 1. That's tally mark represent the number of learners who have height of 142. And now, learners, you can finalize the others as our task for today. But remember, you can come up with your data at home. And this data, I said as earlier, you can draw the number of furniture that you have. For example, the stool, how many stools, how many armchairs, how many sofa sets, how many couches do you have? And now try to analyze that data. That data that you have collected, organize it, and then represent it using the tally mark. Let us meet again in the next lesson.